Yo, if she suddenly started craving you more right after you pulled away, this isn't luck, it's wiring. This behavior may seem cruel, I get it, but once you understand how attraction really works, on a deep, primal level, you'll realize that what seems wrong to your logic is exactly what triggers her desire. And no, this isn't about being toxic or manipulative. It's about reclaiming your masculine frame, mastering your self-control, and understanding the psychological dominance built into every man who finally stops overcompensating for approval he should have never been seeking in the first place. There's a reason 98% of women respond to this, and it's not what you think. If you don't learn how to play this game, you'll keep getting played by it. If this message already hit something inside you, do me a favor, like the video, drop a comment, and share this with a brother who needs to stop betraying his own power. You're helping way more people than you think. So let's dive into the exact behavior that flips the switch, and how you can start applying it today with behavioral authority and outcome independence at your core. The cruel behavior that quietly triggers female desire. There's something deeply uncomfortable about doing less and getting more, especially when it comes to women. Most guys have been taught their whole lives that more effort equals more love. Be nice, be available, be emotionally present on demand. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Female attraction triggers don't work like a reward system. In fact, the moment you start trying too hard, something dies. And what replaces it is resentment. That's why one particular behavior, one that feels cruel, can flip everything in your favor almost instantly. Let's set the stage. You care about her, right? You want to be present, honest, warm, but somehow, the more you show up, the more distant she becomes. And that makes zero sense until you understand how her nervous system is wired. She doesn't consciously want cold confidence, but she feels drawn to it. Why? Because it signals something deeper. Masculine frame, rooted in inner discipline, doesn't chase, doesn't overexpress, and definitely doesn't beg. It commands. And that command is what wakes up her instinct to chase you back. Imagine two men. One replies instantly, pours affection daily, never lets her feel alone. The other vanishes for a bit, not out of spite, but out of self-control. His energy says, I'm here because I choose to be, not because I need to be. Guess which one ignites her? The answer feels unfair. But unfair doesn't mean untrue. The second man lives with outcome independence. He lets go of needing validation, and that triggers a powerful reaction. Her curiosity, her craving, her need to prove something. That's the behavior we're talking about here. Pulling away, not to hurt, but to reclaim frame control. It's not ghosting, it's not manipulation, it's strategic emotional detachment. And trust me, she feels it in her gut. This isn't about games, it's about restoring masculine polarity. A polarity she might complain about, but secretly respects. And once you learn to do this from a place of grounded power, not fear, you stop being her option. You become her gravity. Let me be clear, this behavior does seem cruel, especially if you're still emotionally hooked. You'll hear her say, why are you acting distant? You'll feel guilt, doubt, that tightness in your chest telling you to break the silence and explain yourself. But explanation is a trap. Women don't respond to words the way men do. They respond to social dynamics, to tension, space, and presence. Sometimes, the boldest thing you can do is not respond at all. One of my clients, Ryan, learned this the hard way. After a 2-year relationship, he was blindsided by a sudden breakup. You're too available, she said. It broke him. He tried flowers, texts, open-hearted letters. Nothing worked. Until one day he stopped. Not out of revenge, but exhaustion. He went silent. Focused on building mental resilience, hitting the gym, reading about dominance hierarchy, applying strict, assertive boundaries. 2 weeks later, she messaged, I can't stop thinking about you. That moment rewired him forever. Here's why Ryan's shift worked. Women aren't drawn to what's given too easily. They're drawn to what they must earn. It's biology. When you offer yourself without resistance, you remove the very tension that keeps her interested. It's like salt in a recipe. Too much, and the flavor's ruined. But just enough, she becomes obsessed. This is emotional leverage in action. You're not being cold, you're being calculated, controlled. And that control, that silent power, is irresistible. But let's go deeper. Why does Stoic presence have this hypnotic pull on women? It's because most men don't have it. They fidget, overtalk, explain, apologize for their existence. But a man who can sit in silence, who can watch her reaction without flinching, becomes a rare breed. He's not seeking comfort, he is the comfort. That stillness creates tension. And tension, in feminine psychology, is stimulation. When done right, your calm is louder than her drama. Your stillness becomes the storm. Let's be real, women test. Always. And not because they're cruel, they're instinctively scanning for high-value behavior. Are you grounded, or are you reactive? Are you sure of yourself, or are you addicted to her approval? Every time you over-explain, over-text, or over-pursue, you fail the test. But when you hold frame, when your actions are firm, simple, and unapologetic, you pass in silence. You become a signal she can't ignore. A man anchored in behavioral authority never begs to be understood. You've got to break this myth that love is earned through sacrifice. In the feminine world, desire isn't about logic. It's about primal attraction. The guy who gives her space, who maintains his center, who disappears just long enough for her to wonder, he becomes the question she can't stop asking. What's he doing? Who's he with? Why isn't he chasing me? That mystery is the magnet. Don't overdo it. But if you're always accessible, you're not a mystery. You're a utility. So what does this cruel behavior look like in practice? Sometimes it means leaving her last message unread. Sometimes it means not showing up every time she calls. It means waiting to respond, not to be rude, but to remain in command of your time. It's subtle, strategic, done with emotional mastery, not pettiness. You don't punish her. You let her feel the weight of your absence. That's how she reevaluates your worth, not when you're near, but when you're gone. Here's a quick exercise. The next time she pulls away, don't chase. Don't even flinch. Let her go. Then observe. Does she return? Does she initiate? If she doesn't, she never valued you to begin with. But if she does, you've activated the scarcity principle. You've become a limited resource, not a guaranteed supply. That one shift alone can flip the polarity of any dynamic. You're no longer reacting to her behavior. You're leading with psychological dominance. It's tempting to think this makes you heartless. It doesn't. It makes you precise. Women don't want robots. They want a man who moves with intention. Every time you hold back from explaining yourself, you project masculine leadership. Every time you choose your mission over her mood, you expand your unreactive mindset. She may not praise it. She might even fight it. But trust this, she feels it. And it changes how she sees you, forever. Let's make it crystal clear. This isn't a one-size-fits-all trick. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about rewiring how you value your own energy. Once you embody frame control, everything else aligns. Your tone, your timing, your tension, it all becomes effortless. You stop chasing attraction and start living from it. Women feel that. They follow it. Not because you force them, but because that masculine polarity pulls them in like gravity. Most men live in a constant state of overcompensation. They say too much, feel too much, give too much, hoping to be enough. But the moment you flip that script and become the one who does less, but means more, everything changes. When you embody self-control, when you speak less but radiate more, when your time feels earned instead of given, she leans in, she wonders, she invests. That's when 98% of women start seeing you differently, not as an option, but as the answer. There's a powerful shift that happens when you stop asking, what can I do to make her stay, and start asking, what version of me would never chase in the first place? That question hits deep. It puts the focus back where it belongs, on your inner discipline, on your mission, on your identity as a man with masculine frame. The truth is, once you live from this place, women don't just notice you, they recalibrate around you. You don't adapt to them, they respond to you. And here's the kicker. The moment you realize you never had to beg for attention, you start to act like a man who gets it. You speak differently. You walk differently. You withdraw with cold confidence, not desperation. That's the essence of silent power. And that's when her curiosity spikes. Because you've just done something most men never will. You've reclaimed the upper hand without saying a word. So here's a pause, but not for long. If this content is hitting you right between the eyes, shaking up beliefs you didn't even know you were holding, don't let it slip. Hit the like button right now and subscribe to this channel. Why? Because most guys never hear this kind of truth. And you're not most guys. So stay sharp, we're just getting started. Let's talk about what this actually looks like when you embody it. You're not avoiding her. You're just no longer orbiting around her mood. You don't check your phone 10 times a minute. You don't explain why you didn't reply. That silence, that space, it's not distance, it's design. It forces her to fill the gap with questions, not answers. You become a source of psychological dominance, not codependence. That alone makes her nervous, in the best way. A man rooted in masculine leadership doesn't just withhold attention to get a reaction. He simply refuses to trade his power for validation. He's not mean, he's intentional. Every action he takes signals depth, not desperation. Women feel the contrast. They know when you're baiting them and when you've genuinely stepped into your behavioral authority. One makes them recoil, the other makes them adjust their entire tone just to match yours. Here's where most guys fall apart. They start strong, but the moment she pulls back or gets emotional, they collapse. They trade their peace for a response. But that's where emotional detachment becomes your superpower. You let her feel everything, and you feel nothing in return. Not because you're numb, but because you've trained yourself to respond, not react. Your energy doesn't spike, your breath stays calm, and that presence becomes her addiction. Have you ever wondered why the man who says less always seems more powerful? It's because words can be doubted, but presence can't. That's Stoic presence in motion. It's the guy who walks into a room, says almost nothing, but commands attention. You don't need a script, you need substance. And that substance comes from discipline, from a life built on mission, from knowing you don't need her admiration to validate your value. This behavior, this cruel pullback, isn't about hurting her. It's about teaching her your value through absence, not argument. You're not punishing, you're positioning. When done right, you create space for her to remember what it felt like to earn you. That's emotional leverage. And the moment she feels that void, you've already won. You don't need a speech, you need strategy. And your absence, when charged with masculine intent, becomes the loudest message she's ever heard. You'll start to notice something fascinating. She initiates more. Her tone softens. Her texts get longer. She begins to compete for your attention. That's not manipulation. That's social dynamics responding to high-value behavior. You flip the polarity. Now she's the one wondering what she did wrong, while you remain centered. This is what most men never learn. They think love is loud, but love, when done right, is quiet and powerful. Now imagine stacking this power across every area of your life. Your mental resilience gets sharper. Your friendships get more intentional. Your money, your time, your boundaries, they all follow the same logic. You stop explaining your worth and start embodying it. That shift bleeds into your posture, your eye contact, your presence in every conversation. It's no longer about attracting her. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to. Let's get tactical again. When she texts you something emotionally charged, don't match it. Don't explain, don't defend, and definitely don't attack back. Respond hours later, with clarity, with calm. That's unreactive mindset in motion. She'll either respect it or be confused by it. But here's the magic. Both reactions increase your power. Because now she's adjusting to you. Your time, your pace, your rhythm. You've stopped playing defense and started playing chess. There's no need to be cold for the sake of it. That's not power. That's insecurity. The real edge comes from cold confidence, not bitterness. When you're kind, but not needy, quiet, but not absent, firm, but not cruel, she feels the difference. That's the man who lives inside frame control. He doesn't fake mystery. He is the mystery. And when a man becomes that rare, grounded force, women don't just want him, they fear losing him. You know you've mastered this when you no longer have to try. She texts. Cool. She doesn't. Also cool. You don't chase tension, you become tension. That's the shift. That's the moment where outcome independence takes root. And from there, everything about how she treats you begins to recalibrate. Because now she knows. Your time is earned. Your presence is not a given. And that scarcity is what makes it sacred. This isn't just about dating, it's about identity. Every time you hold back a reaction, every time you withhold over-explaining, every time you stay rooted while others flinch, you build a new version of yourself. And that man, he attracts everything by being nothing more than himself. That's masculine polarity in its rawest form. Not loud, not flashy, just grounded, just present, just there. And that energy, it pulls everything feminine toward it without lifting a finger. So what's the cost of ignoring this? Simple. You become invisible. You turn into the nice guy who does everything right and gets nothing in return. You lose your edge. Your identity gets shaped by reactions instead of vision. That's the slow death of masculine energy. But when you choose inner discipline, when you lead with dominance hierarchy instead of emotional chaos, everything starts to respond. Because nature rewards order. And you finally become order in human form. Want to know if you're on the right path? Ask yourself, when she pulls away, do I chase? Or do I stand still and let the gravity of my presence do the work? That one decision reveals everything. Because if you chase, you've given her control. But if you pause, with self-control, with behavioral authority, you create contrast. And in attraction, contrast is king. It's what she remembers. It's what she craves. It's what pulls her back without you moving a muscle. Every woman feels drawn to a man she can't fully predict, but who never loses composure. That's the paradox. You're mysterious, yet stable. Distant, yet safe. That balance, built on emotional mastery, is what gives her space to fall. You don't have to force it, you just have to be it. You show up, grounded, unfazed, not waiting for her to choose you, because you've already chosen yourself. And that choice? That's what ignites female attraction triggers without a single word. Most guys spend years trying to be everything she says she wants, only to be left wondering why she lost interest. But you've seen the pattern now, you've felt it, and once you understand it, you can't unsee it. Attraction isn't logical, it's biological, and biology is ancient. That's why primal attraction isn't activated by approval seeking. It's activated by tension, mystery, and stoic presence. By a man who doesn't chase, but walks forward, whether she follows or not. And look, none of this means you stop caring. It means you stop proving. You can love deeply and still move with silent power. You can be generous and still enforce assertive boundaries. You can be romantic without being reactive. That's the upgrade. That's the edge. You're not trying to impress anymore. You're expressing a standard. And when she senses that, everything changes. You don't have to say a thing. She feels it. She adjusts. She respects it. So the next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, to chase her attention, to text back immediately just to feel safe, pause. Breathe. Remember who you are. You're not here to perform. You're here to lead, to own your time, to own your energy. Because you've built something stronger than approval, mental resilience. And from that place, everything feminine reacts, not out of obligation, but because it's drawn to what it can't control, but deeply desires to be near. This isn't just a behavior, it's a blueprint, a way of moving, a way of being. And once you choose to embody it, not just when it's convenient, but when it's hard, you stop trying to get women and start becoming the man they naturally respond to. You don't have to force desire, you become it. You don't ask for her attention, you command it through stillness. Through masculine frame control, and the rarest trait of all, not needing her to understand you in order to be powerful. Now that you know what truly drives her desire, what are you going to do with it? Will you keep over-explaining yourself, hoping she gets it? Or will you start embodying the calm, controlled presence that makes her feel it without a word? Will you keep chasing her attention, or finally become the man whose absence speaks louder than his efforts? Let's make this real. Drop a comment right now with the phrase, "No more chasing, I lead now." Let that be your commitment, not to impress her, but to reclaim yourself. And hey, if you made it all the way here, I mean it. Thank you. That says something about you. You're not just watching, you're waking up. Now do one last thing to help this message reach more men who need it. Like this video, share it with a friend who needs to hear this, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next level of this journey. Because trust me, we're just getting started.